Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Go on.
Yeah, thank you for having me here. I'm very excited to be here. And I just want to start by saying that a grave, this this trial, everyone should be more motivated by the verdict or the outcome of this trial. Everyone should be more energized to continue to fight for the liberation for the people of Southern Cameroon and even La Republique du Cameroon. So there's no backing down, there's no slowing down, and freedom must prevail. We know very well that on the path to freedom, on the path for liberation, there will be persecution, there will be prosecution, there will be jail, and there will even be death. So these are all expected findings, but you must keep on going and don't slow down. Whatever you are doing, do it 10 times as you have been. At this time, I would suggest you do it 10 times to get people free. So on part of this case, I just want to acknowledge that I'm just here to. I took upon myself to come here to help the people of Southern Cameroon, to do a personal survey to the people of Southern Cameroon, to give them some light and information on what is going on. I personally got into this to the defense team a little bit way late. I'll say that because this case was not originally in the hands of people like me. And I'm going to break that all down in here for you to understand what is going on in this case. There's a lot of gymnastics going on here. There's a lot of
Okay.
politics at the national level, at the international level, and even within the Ambazonian community. So this the verdict on this trial as a whole is just an entire trial gone wrong on 3 levels. So I just want to acknowledge that I personally was not in the courtroom, but I talked to people who were there on a daily basis and following up on things. So with that said, I will have you give specific question on the things that you want the audience or the people to know, and then I can give you as much response as I can while
Sure.
acknowledging other things.
Sure. So you started by saying a trial gone wrong. Substance share on that.
Very good, very good. See, the trial. By the way, what everybody in the world should know, or what everybody, all the southern people of Southern Cameroon should understand is that this case is not even supposed to have gone to trial. The case would have been supposed. First of all, the the Biden administration was not even supposed to bring this case. It would have been thrown out of the window long time ago, following the precedents of other similar cases that have been brought to other Ambazonians. Um, First of all, this case is fundamentally, the outcome of this case is fundamentally a violation of the principle which America was found. Everything America was found on is based on, has a similarity with this case. I'm telling you that the forefathers of America will be rolling on their grave to see that a three people or some people will be convicted facing genocide, extermination, mass killing, which is well documented by the US government itself, international organization, and the United Nations. So this trial is a trial gone wrong on 3 levels, and I'm going to break it down right now. If everybody can calm down and absorb the words and the information I'm about to spit out. Number one, I've said that it violates all the principles which the United States was found. I want people to understand that even Benjamin Franklin in 1776, which was one of the founding fathers of the United States, solicited material support from France, Spain, and I think Netherlands to fight against the British oppression and the British oppression of the colonies of the United States. And by that standard, he would have been also found guilty by this federal court. I have on this same point, I want us to understand that the US is a place that I loved. I grew up here all my adult life. But this verdict from at the federal level is is an embarrassment for a great for the U.S. federal court, especially at the Missouri district. And I'm asking every politicians, all the lawmakers, interest group who seek to preserve the integrity of human rights of the United States and hold the principle of which this country was found to dive into this case and look into it. Just like how they look into Mandela's issue, Muhammad Ali, Martin Luther King, Manhattan Gandhi, and all the freedom fighters in the world that have passed through persecution, prosecution, jail sentences, and even death because they are fighting for freedom and defending people exposed to genocide. Now, go to the second point. I said that this case is wrong in three. This is trial gone wrong in three phases. The second phase is that the defense was not adequate for this case. Like you rightfully mentioned, said the judge deliberately did not allow certain evidence to be for the jury to be exposed to. So all those
Evidence such as
evidence such as the reason why these guys were doing the things, some of the things they're accusing them. You know, you cannot accuse somebody of material support and this and that. Material support for what? What were they fighting for? What were they defending themselves for? That was never really present. Evidence as, for example, in August of this 2024 or not long ago, or this, I just want to give you a recent example of something that happened when they were in jail, but there were many other similar atrocities that we can mention. We're talking about this guy in Gokotunja who was not even a restoration fighter. He was suspected of giving informations against the Cameroon oppressive military. This guy, his hands were tied, and his hands were binded, tied on the back of the car. I'm talking about by a Cameroon military official, and he was dragged alive somewhere in Gokutunde, dragged alive and drove for hours until he was screaming for his life. He was dragged around with his arms tied at the back of the car until his death, because they wanted to put fear in the minds of the people, put fear in the minds of kids, and put fear in the minds of any people who are standing up against the corrupt dictator Paul Biya regime. So this is just an example of an atrocity that happened. And we'll talk about the burning of schools, the burning of hospitals across Ambazonia, the killing of 6 months old, the killing of 90-year-old blind folks, the mass kidnapping by soldiers who kidnap people for various reasons, to force them to march, to force them to act like voter bloc. All those things were never really allowed to be presented into the case. Now, in all fairness, the judge also, for other reasons, they did not allow this case to be, they did not allow the prosecution to mention terrorism. Earlier in your discussion, Mr. Chris, I heard you mention something about terrorism. I'm sure that was a slip of the tongue, but this case is not about terrorism. They brought specifically hammered at the prosecutors or the FBI agents when they were trying to go towards this route about terrorism. So this has zero to do with terrorism. But a lot of things were prevented to enter as evidence. So the jury itself did not really have a good picture about what was going on, you know. And this takes me a little bit, let me make a stretch on this. This takes me...
Before you get there, if I may just ask, how experienced was the lawyer who represented these defendants?
The lawyer had some experience. I think the person who was in charge of following this case for many for all this long time can speak better more on the lawyer. Like I told you, you'll be surprised. I got into this case effectively 4 days into the trial, and I'll explain why down here why it's going that way. And I also brought some evidence to try to defend them. But this lawyer, from my feedback, I'm sure I heard that they did their best, but with all standards and what is happening here, it can be argued that was not enough. Is it because their hands were tied? Is it because they were not fully paid? Or what was it? Their lawyer may have to come here and do some share with the Ambazonian people. on that case, because we are also soliciting for her to come and probably give us a one or two explanation on this. But on this part, on this point that I wanted to make about the jury not getting the full picture of what is going on, it reminds me of what happened in South Africa. Secretary Chris, do you know that the people that convicted Mandela, the judge that convicted Mandela, suffered almost all his life? He never had peace after finding exactly what they were doing to the people of South Africa, after understanding the atrocities, that how the treatment that the people were, the people, the oppressed people of South Africa were going through. The judge never lived with himself. The same thing too with Nazi Germany. When the people were prosecuting for Hitler and the Hitler government, a lot of the Nazis never lived to live with themselves after understanding the whole picture of what the people were fighting for against Hitler and Hitler's regime. A lot of them, their sisters, relatives, they took injection and sterilized themselves, never to have children, because they didn't want their offspring to continue based on what their brothers and sisters they had done. We talk about like Heinrich Himmler, one of the closest person to Hitler. All his whole family became sterile because of the atrocities that they do. So I'm just saying that this is just the beginning. What is happening here? These boys, they're going to come. They're not going to stay in that jail for all those long years that we are saying this and that, because the truth will come out. Minds will change. The American population, the American judicial system, which is built on auto-correction, will realize what has been done. The good people in the FBI, the good people in the United States federal system will rise up and say, no, this cannot be tolerated. This is not going to happen. That is what I think is going to happen in here. Now, we can come up to this point again, and we can go on and on and on again. But let me give you the third part where this trial also went wrong. And this one has to be on the side of the Ambazonian. So I've talked about, just to recap, I've talked about where the trial goes wrong at the start from the US government. I've talked about where it went to the defense level and the court system and the judge. Now, this third part is the responsibility of the people of Southern Cameroon, Ambazonia, specifically directed to a name that has brought a lot of pain and disturbance to this liberation movement, Samuel Ikomesako. These three guys, when they were picked up, they were under the fraction of Mr. Samuel Ikomesako. And when that happened, you remember they were picked up in November 28, 2022. Is it November or December?
November 28, 2022.
Yes. Yeah, November 2022. And this was just when Sako had escaped electoral process, when he came out with he disrupted the electoral process with the so-called CDC deal that he accused you. He made you sound like you were the one that took money for CDC. Then the people now forget that there was supposed to be an election, and he turned everything now like there was a prop that they were trying to falsely accuse him this and that, just to disrupt an electoral process. So these guys took the side of Samuel Ikomesako, especially Mr. Frank Chanley and Claude Chi. Langmi was there trying to unite people according to the audios and the record reports that I was reading. But these two guys were hard-staunch supporters of Sako, especially Frank. He was one of his closest, he was very close to him for many reasons, which they themselves can come here and explain for themselves. But it also they will have very close. Now, what happened? Sako, being who he is, he uses their arrest to like a fundraising. I remember Iringwa was also there. They were all chanting, we have to raise money for Cancer 3 and all this kind of stuff. So they grabbed this issue, they grabbed it like it was our thing, and isolated many other people from Southern Cameroon and even other people from different countries who wanted to help. So they engulfed it, they used it as fundraising multiple times, so it will raise money for their lawyers and all this kind of stuff. So given what Sako was doing and given the positions of these our brothers, people just neglected the whole thing and leave it onto them, thinking that he was competent enough. But as time goes on, Even myself, I could have played a role in helping some of these guys, giving some my son some giving my background and some little background in in law. So I myself withdrew. So Sako and his group, they took upon this responsibility, create forums, and raise money for their defense. So it was like their thing. And if you try to attempt to raise funds to come and support this guy or something, you were met with boo, they bash you, they attack you, and all those kind of stuff. I remember one time, one of a relative to Lami went and opened a GoFundMe account, and they came and screenshot the page, wrote in there that sent it everywhere that it's a scam, somebody trying to scam, all this kind of stuff. So as usual, they did that. So the thing was in their hand. As time goes on, I learned that they tried to raise money, and then different things started to come up. And then he himself, the commander, the so-called wannabe commander-in-chief, or the Sako himself, started discouraging funds to be raised for these guys because he had other projects that were coming up. Like he wrote another book that he wanted to sell, so you cannot do multiple things at the same time. So long story short, other things were coming up. So it became a time when they couldn't just follow up these people's case with the energy which they started. And the people of Ngokutunja, or the brothers of Ngokutunja, who were supporting and helping these guys, they started also having some differences with Sako because they said that they realized that he was trying to sideline money for some purpose that they raised for a website. I mean, the audio is there. I can't really go deep into all that stuff right now.
I remember the hold on there when these guys were initially picked up. There were talks of hiring a lawyer, an attorney to defend them. I remember speaking to Lang Mi's wife and I think Claude's wife too about hiring a lawyer, and I was made to understand they were trying to get a lawyer for him, and I was trying to introduce to them the lawyer who represented Tapang Ivo in one of these cases. They ended up not hiring him because the price was quite high. Would you say it is because of funds, maybe the lack of funds, that led them to go for a public defender?
Yes, and more.
Okay.
Yes, and more. More to the fact that the division that Samuel Sako caused split the resources of the people who could come together and help these people. We have our brothers in South Africa there and across the world from different fractions that they would at least jump in to increase to the human capital that is needed to fund such a process. So yes, and more, and in addition to that. So I haven't answered that question. Let me just finish this quickly. As the whole process went through, that division with Sako and the people that were holding on to this, who were following up onto this case, increases and widened as usual.
So, the last lawyer, the private lawyer, the lady who represented these guys in court during the trial, who hired him? Who hired her?
The lady that represented it was, what do you mean who hired her? It was their fraction that did that.
Okay.
Originally. But going along, people fall off the wagon because of that split, and the whole load now remained on a few people, and to a point where only one person was carrying the load to go forward. Okay, so as unbelievable as this sound, that is where we were. So one person was there trying to coordinate all.
So are you suggesting that of all the contributions given to Sako to get a lawyer to represent these folks, A dime never went to their legal fund.
Not enough went to their legal fund. I won't say a dime never went, but not enough went there. And I think that, Mr. Chris, you're an open-minded person. It's not for my word, but it's evident by the number of people who have come to your platform. They can come here and talk too, right?
Mm-hmm.
He can come here and defend himself. I don't want to be one of those people who just bash people's name out there and say irresponsible things. They can come here and defend themselves. But from all the evidence and all the research and all the information that we've gathered, that is what happened. So in the case, it's unfortunate that you see strong freedom fighters. These are men that will be admired by the American government. These are men that will be admired by the United States if they understand what these men stand for, if they understand freely what they fight for. These are men that will be hailed by that jury if they truly understand what these guys stand for. But today they are on their other side fighting for their freedom in the name of a guilty plea. What a
Is,
shame.
is there a chance for an appeal? Are they going to take appeal?
Yes, they're going to take appeal. Definitely, we're going to go through appeal. It's not the battle is not over. It is not over at all. We're going to take an appeal, and we're also going to go,
Are the
and that will be
facts
after sentencing.
are the facts not stacked against them, considering that one of them, Claude Chi, pleaded guilty, and he was then used as a witness by the defense against the rest of the two defendants. With him
Yes,
pleading guilty, doesn't that make an appeal impossible?
no, Mr. Chris. It's just like just take for example, when you go to jail, there are a lot of prisoners who will say anything to get away, okay, to free themselves. So Claude is under duress, and that guilty plea that is saying that it is not coming from him. That is why a lot of people around are not as angry as they're not deadly angry towards Claude as much as they think. The Ambazonians are reasonable enough to understand the situation where what he's going through. Because on the standard of what we have been going through, he would have been termed a black leg. Okay, yes, I know what that means. But
Yeah.
Claude is under duress, yes, under duress. And this Kansas, I mean, for them to use Claude as their star winning all that kind of stuff, this shows how much little, with no disrespect to the work that the FBI people do, but this the people who are prosecuting the case, their insight, they don't really have an insight. Come on, for Christ's sake. Listen, Mr. Chris, I want the American public to know, all the everybody in America to know today, all the people who are not part of Southern Cameroon, people who are watching from the outside. I want to give them a clear analogy of what this case is, of what has just happened here. Just imagine that a group, about 100 girls, were kidnapped and taken to somewhere across some part of Southeast Asia or South, or whatever, wherever you want to, Mexico or whatever. Just say that they were kidnapped in foreign land, and they were being raped there for many years, raped there for 9 years. And then some of those girls now struggle and escape and come now to the other side of the eye in the United States here. And then one of those pimps now there follow them now and lobby the prosecutors around here that this girl that was working prostitution with me, this girl, she's owing me some money. She laundered money, she was doing prostitution. And then now the government now comes and arrests these females and then charge them again now with prostitution, providing support for prostitution across the aisle, or with more cases. So in effect, the government, the prosecutor, they come and victimize the victims again, prosecute the victims. That is exactly what is going in here. That is the insight. And I know this misconception about who these guys are is because of Bobia and his lobbies across the United States here, which they have been doing for so many years. They have they have lobbies in different corridors, trying to change the context and the perception of what is really happening. But I trust in the American system. I think that the Americans are very smart. I've been living here for a long time. I understand that the system is built to autocorrect, and the good men and good women of FBI at the federal level and all the court system, and even in the current administration, will look at this thing and say, no, This is not right. This is not what these laws were created for. These laws were not created to promote dictatorship and killing and more mass killing and atrocity of innocent people around the world. So, like, just in conclusion, the third part of this trial going wrong, like I just said, is because of that mishandling of that case. So you see, the judge, the jurors, they came out with that verdict, but it's based on the limited information they know. It's based on the withholding that they know. So what is going here, Mr. Chris? Why is all these so many loopholes? I think there's a bigger picture on this thing. There might be the worst coming to La République du Cameroon, because it's like a think tank. We were showing that the Americans, they are trying to play fair, or the international organization, they are trying to play fair. They make sure that one or two people who are doing some things that they think that is incorrect, they want to make sure that they hammer the regime on the other side very very fairly and necessarily, because what is happening in the Cameroons, Southern Cameroon, even Liberia, what is happening in the Cameroons, there is no Westerner with their real mind, even with their interests. I think that the atrocities and the human rights violation and all that is happening is just way above, is far beyond Western principles, and it cannot be tolerated. And Lord and behold, when will the American people know about it? Because when the people of the country know about it, these leaders playing think tank and prosecutors playing these political games there, they're just going to back down. Just like what happened in the Vietnam War when Muhammad Ali was released after Martin Luther King, when the population realized what was going on with Mandela and all those people. When the ordinary person in the street will understand what is happening, this will just dissolve into the thin air.